It might not be as good as the JC Wings model of the 787-9 from ANA, but it is getting rather close, so of course we have to take a closer look. With that, hello and welcome to a new episode of Review, where we today will take a closer look at a Boeing 777-300ER of All Nippon Airways. Now, this aircraft model does also come in a fully designed box, but I have got it in this simple white box with no details whatsoever, and despite that, it is still a better box design than anything Herpa has to offer these days. Before we get too far into today's review, it is worth mentioning that this aircraft model does come with a stand. And here she is, the Boeing 777-300ER in the Star Alliance livery of All Nippon Airways, or ANA. The model itself is from Hogan and was produced in 2010, but there are several versions of it, and I will get more into that a little bit later in the video, because firstly I just want to focus on the model we have here in front of us and see what Hogan has managed to get onto this aircraft model, and I can already say it is quite a lot. So let us start our tour around this aircraft model with a look at the tail section, where we on the vertical stabilizer have the Star Alliance branding. We also have some lovely printed detail on the horizontal stabilizer. In fact, some of the most detailed print I have ever seen on a horizontal stabilizer. On the fuselage we then have the Japanese flag and the full registration code. We do of course also have a bit of detailing around the APU exhaust towards the very tail of the aircraft. While the aircraft model does not have any physical antenna, it does have them indicated in the print, which I think is a acceptable compromise. If we then look at the front of the aircraft and across the fuselage, we have the writing of Star Alliance. We of course also have a Star Alliance logo and the ANA branding. We do also have a plethora of sensors and hatches printed on across the fuselage, and of course also around the cockpit section with pitot tubes and other sensors and markers, as well as of course the cockpit windows and the window wipers. Plenty of detailing can also be found on the engine nacelles, which of course have the silver leading edge, the GE90 branding, and various hatches and safety markings printed on as well. Also, the physical detailing of these engines I believe is rather good. For example, here from the underside, but especially also when we look into the engines from the front, where we very nicely can see the engine fan blades. On the fuselage, just above the wings, we have the emergency exit printed on, which leads us straight to the wings, which we should definitely also take a closer look at. Starting over the top side, where we on one side have the Japanese sun, and on the other side the full registration code printed on. But of course also, again, the markings for the emergency exit, the thick black line indicating the outer edges of the landing gear, and of course the markings as to where to walk on the wing, and also here highly detailed as well. The Japanese sun and the full registration code we then also find on the underside of the wings, and of course we also have the landing lights printed on. How could it otherwise be? On the belly of the aircraft we find a hole in the fuselage. Given that the stand that matches this hole is included with the aircraft, and that the hole doesn't destroy any printed details, I do not mind the hole, but I will never be a fan of it. The landing gear is the standard landing gear used on 777s, and therefore there is not much to say other than it actually looks rather decent. Even better is the front landing gear, because we here have some printed details added as well. And then last but not least, we do also have the doors to the cargo compartments, but also here Hogan is going beyond what is otherwise standard. So it's not just a square, but they have added a lot of small printed details to that, small hatches, and it just looks great. So there we have it, the Boeing 777-300ER in the Star Alliance livery of ANA from Hogan in scale 1 to 500. And what can we say about this aircraft model? Well, firstly, I just have to acknowledge that this aircraft model is really excellent. I mean, the print quality and especially the amount of details is fantastic. Also, the physical detailing of this model is actually really good. The only thing I can note here is how the wings have been mounted into the fuselage. That we have seen better in more recent die-cast releases. But as I mentioned in the beginning of the video, the aircraft model is from 2010, so I think we can be a little bit more lenient with that. So instead of focusing more on how the wings have been mounted into the fuselage, let's talk about the different versions of this aircraft model. The one we have here in front of us, as mentioned, is from 2010, but Hogan has also produced this aircraft model in 2004, and Aero Classics or Aero 500 has also produced this aircraft model once or twice, that wasn't quite clear, in 2016. The Hogan 2010 and Aero Classics 2016 models do seem to be fairly similar. The biggest difference I could make out was the print on the wings. That is different on the Aero Classics compared to the model from Hogan. But of course, we do also have to address the elephant in the room, and that is the fact that this aircraft model is from Hogan. And Hogan is a subsidiary of Harper. So Harper has made this model. Harper in 2010 has been capable of making a model like this. Now, we are all very happy that Harper has decided to add more details to their models as a standard, but it is a kick in the face to every single die-cast collector of scale 500 models when you look at this aircraft model from 2010 and realize that Harper has made a model that wouldn't just wipe the floor with every standard model from Harper Wings, but would beat every single Harper Wings Club model by a mile. But I digress. Ultimately, this is a very good model. Seriously, it's one of the best 777s you can find, so I would say absolutely it is worth having in one's collection. Now with that, we have reached the end of today's episode. If you have enjoyed this video, then don't forget to leave a like, that would be very much appreciated. And of course, if you are new around here, why not hit subscribe? That would be absolutely awesome. With that, I'd like to say thank you very much for watching. Hope to see you soon again. I'm checking out, and bye.